Nobody got time for that.
Hey! We're recording the podcast! Shut up!
Good morning to you, wherever you are, because it is
Morning Somewhere!
for March 26, 2025. My name is Bernie Burns. I got that one in right under the wire. Say hi to Ashley, everybody. It's Ashley sitting right over there.
Good morning.
So the drop today is ain't nobody got time for that.
I
Very
instantly
motivated.
start I don't know, like shaking my neck to the beat. Getting ready for that songify.
Oh yeah, it is one of the weird things about when things get auto-tuned or somebody makes a song out of it that you do. It's like when you remember when we were younger and you would just sit by the radio with a tape recorder ready to record and make your own mixtape. Is that how you did it?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Or sometimes though, because I was in an area with poor reception. So if I was in an area with good reception, I would just like put a cassette in and I would record like an hour of radio so that when I had no reception, I could still have music.
Yeah.
Like in general, it didn't matter what it was, just, music for company.
Yeah, mine was nostalgic. Yours seemed kind of sad. Your little story over there. Did you ever get to the point, though, where you would have a mixtape that you would listen to all the time? And so I associate certain songs, I imagine it's the same with playlists today. I associate certain songs as coming after other songs, even though they're in no way related.
Right, like one song ends and you expect this other song to begin and then it doesn't. And it throws you off for a second before you have to reconcile with your mind that, of course, that song wouldn't be starting.
Right. Why would these two songs be associated in any way whatsoever?
Right. Like they make no technical sense together. You just heard them together so many times.
Pavlovian. Yeah.
Indeed.
And we didn't have a choice. Like we couldn't, if you had an audio cassette mixtape or a burned CD, like maybe you could do random on a CD, but you definitely couldn't do it on a tape. You couldn't hit random and get a random playlist.
Nah, you're going A to B on that one, buddy.
But there's some songs I listen to back to back in that order for probably years at a time, 1 or 2 years at a time.
Well, then on a very appropriate opening note, Bernie, apparently Napster has been sold. Napster, the music sharing software,
right,
from however many years ago. It shut down like 20 years ago or something.
2001 is when they shut down.
Oh my God. So 25 years ago-ish. And it's just been sold for $200 million. I don't understand this.
Let me look at this. Yeah, they sold for $207 million. And I was looking at the long history of Napster. They shut down. Let's put this in perspective. Napster shut down 3 months before 9/11.
Wow.
That's when they shut down.
So it's been a little while.
And so they just sold for $207 million. Let's go through the long history of Napster making money after Napster was shut down. Napster's brand and logos were acquired at a bankruptcy auction by Roxio. That was a CD burning software, which used them to rebrand the Press Play music service as Napster 2.0. In September 2008, Napster was then purchased by U.S. electronics retailer Best Buy. Do you remember that?
Best Buy?
Best Buy
bought Napster?
Bought them for $121 million. On December 1st, 2011, pursuant to a deal with Best Buy, Napster merged with Rhapsody, with Best Buy receiving a minority stake in Rhapsody. In July of 2016, Rhapsody phased out the Rhapsody brand in favor of Napster and has since branded its service internationally as Napster. On August 25th, 2020, Napster was sold to virtual reality concerts company Melody VR. May 10th, 2022, Napster was sold to HiveMind and Allegrand. And then today, or this week, they were purchased again for $207 million.
That's a really long road of acquisitions for Napster. I had no idea.
It has made like so much money in transactions of just selling the brand around.
Right, like just
over
like
the years.
buying and selling. That's fascinating. So it's kind of got the Atari treatment, right? Where like, was it Infogrames like bought Atari and then rebranded their stuff as Atari and just basically slap the logo on something else and go, this'll work.
I thought that was a really smart move. Like somebody paid attention and was like, oh, in all these acquisitions that we've made under Infogrames, we have the Atari logo and branding. Why don't we just call our whole company Atari going forward?
It does hit the nostalgia button. I'm not sure if Napster has quite the same sort of nostalgia button that it can press, especially first, because it's now operating in, I guess, a music streaming, which is yes, adjacent to the file sharing service that it was before, but not the same.
Sometimes too, it's kind of like, how when you read a headline about somebody who died, in the back of your mind, you're always like, you tell me how. Like, you want to know how.
Tell me how
like,
they
you
died.
just want to know how they
Well,
died.
especially if it's like a younger person, you're like, what was it?
Younger than you mean. Yeah. You want to make sure. Yeah.
I guess I am making the shift that, yeah, it's like if they're in like my age range or younger, I want to know how.
I also have that with business deals. Like, in the middle of all this stuff, during the Best Buy acquisition and then subsequent spinoff, Napster merged with Rhapsody, with Best Buy receiving a minority stake in Rhapsody. That is something I always want there to be disclosed when people announce these business deals. Like, okay, how much of the old thing is left? Like, I can just talk about my thing. You know, bought back the Rooster Teeth brand. It's just us. That's it. There's nobody else involved.
No other stakeholders, no silent partners, as it were.
No, like remaining stakes or anything like that. And I always want to know that. It's like, oh, they got this back from so and so. And they got it back sometimes they say like got it back for nothing or got it back for $1 or whatever. It's like how much is left of them in it? Like,
yeah,
they're going to keep a small stake in it in case it takes off.
Right. On a just really quick related note, another publication that previously shut down, Game Informer, just announced that they're back. They got their whole team back too. So I don't know how they're going to roll that out, but that's pretty exciting. They shut down last August.
They were bought by Bed Bath & Beyond. That was really weird. Nobody really knows why.
Which is weird because didn't Bed Bath & Beyond close?
Well, that's another thing too. Is like I read, yeah. After they merged with Home Depot.
It was bought by Spirit Halloween.
by Applebee's. Game Informer was a weird one too, though, because Game Informer, I learned when we started selling DVDs at GameStop, it's the in-house publication by GameStop.
Yeah, that was always kind of like a kind of a tricky one, right? Because they have a vested interest in moving units, right? Because they were owned by an actual like sales outlet. So I always found Game Informer kind of tricky, but they did have really great like cover features and that sort of thing. So they did do great coverage as long as you looked at it knowing that it did want to sell you games.
I worked with GameStop for a long time. There was not a single part of that company that was not monetized to the fullest so they could take advantage of the retail space that they had. I don't know why Game Informer would be different, but I never really dealt with them. But I'm talking like if you wanted a poster on the wall at GameStop, that was a huge price tag. Like they had every square inch of the store like monetized and evaluated for price. Even when we would go to their managers conference, we had to pay to go to that thing. Like when we had a deal to like put DVDs in GameStop, just for round numbers, say they wanted to buy from us $100,000 worth of DVDs. That also came with a marketing spend, which was basically a way that they would mark down what they were paying for our DVDs. And sometimes it would be like 20%. We had to recommit 20% of whatever they were spending with us to spend with them on their marketing.
Wow.
Yeah. And that would include like the best thing we ever did there was for season 3 of Red vs. Blue. There was somebody within the company who was a big champion of us. And so they said, like, we want to give you guys like this little like cardboard stand at the cash register, which is like prime real estate. But then we had to pay for it to be there. So it's like, I do wonder, honestly, I wonder with Game Informer, like how much of it is like when they have a cool cover story, how much of it is really news journalism and how much of it is paid marketing that's being placed by the video game company.
Right. But now they're not being owned by GameStop at all. They've been acquired by game studio Gunzilla. So,
that's great.
So I'm not sure how that's going to work out exactly, but they are back. They've got the team back, so that's really cool.
That's really cool.
So it's good to see them back. James Bond also resurfacing. We talked a few weeks ago that Amazon MGM had fully acquired creative control of the James Bond franchise, and they are already moving on it. They are not wasting any time. They announced they've already secured the producers for the next Bond film. It's Amy Pascal and David Heyman. Are you familiar with them?
Not at all.
So Amy Pascal, she's known for a lot of the Sony stuff. She's a producer for a lot of like the Sony Spider-Man stuff. All the like the Spider-Verse, No Way Home. She was producer on the Little Women, Greta Gerwig's Little Women. And so she's got a laundry list of producer credits. And then David Heyman recently produced Barbie, Wonka, Adventures of Paddington. He's also known for Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, Marriage Story, Gravity. So They got some very experienced producers for this next. When I first read the headline, I thought they had secured a director already, and I was like, holy shit.
Yeah.
But even so, I think producer's kind of the first step.
Yeah.
Right? And then you get your director, and then you work on your cast.
Well, I mean, they already had producers. They got rid of the big production team, and now they got to replace it with somebody else.
So now this is who they've got secured for the next one. So, I mean, they have really good credits. So cautiously optimistic there. They're very experienced anyway, getting stuff done.
It's interesting timing. Reacher's doing really well. That kind of falls in that he's like the working class kind of James Bond a little bit, right?
Yeah.
Mission Impossible is this next it's coming to an end, right?
Yeah, I think this next Mission Impossible is planned to be the last Mission Impossible. Although I always feel like they're all billed as could be the last one, and then they take the last one and they split it in two, but now the second one of the last one is coming out, and so is it going to, I think so.
I love this too. Sometimes when we talk about stuff, there's stuff in the news, and it's almost like when you're playing checkers and you line up and you get like the quadruple jump. So I can go from James Bond to Mission Impossible, Simon Pegg. Nick Frost was cast as Hagrid in the new Harry Potter.
Look, you turned into a king.
I did it. King me.
I think he's in talks. So Nick Frost, who is a very frequent collaborator with Simon Pegg, who's in the Mission Impossible films, he's sort of like, they're always in the buddy movies together, like Hot Fuzz, Shaun of the Dead. They're always like in these things together, Spaced, I think.
He's the big guy.
Yes.
Of the group.
So he is now in talks, supposedly, to play Hagrid in the HBO series of Harry Potter that they're doing. He'd actually be a great choice.
You think so? I think so too.
He would. He's a very, very funny dude. He's got that sort of lovable charm about him that he's just like fun and sweet, and you just want to hug him.
From that same trilogy of movies that he made with Simon Pegg, if I was going to cast somebody though as Hagrid, I might use the dude who was in Hot Fuzz, who then went on to play the Hound in Game of Thrones. That'd be great too. He was great. I mean, he could, let him play a nice character for once. And he's a huge dude, right?
Yarp.
Yarp, that's it. So just while we were talking about business stuff, I've always talked about how timing is everything. And you just look at what Napster went through in the turn of the millennium and how different everything is now, probably because of all the waters that Napster waded through. Just looking at Spotify today, Napster sold this week for $207 million, the brand that kind of started all this stuff. Spotify's market cap today, $126 billion.
You're kidding me.
Yeah.
Really?
That's a walking so someone else can run kind of a situation for sure.
That's a really high price tag.
Yeah. They're a public company. They're spot on the New York Stock Exchange.
Easy to find.
Current market cap today, according to some stock site that I'm on, is $126 billion.
Oh, I was reading companiesmarketcap.com, which is in British pounds. And it's a 97 billion British pounds is their market cap.
What was the name of that website again?
Companiesmarketcap.com.
I'm like 90% sure you have a virus on your computer.
I very well might.
So while we're talking about stuff that gets shut down, there's an interesting case, and it's not something I want to go too deep into because it's got some gross shit in it. But there was a YouTube influencer, one of these family influencers, and she was recently sentenced for child abuse for basically filming her kids all the time. The interesting part of this is, coming off this Napster story of them getting shut down, this is leading to regulation now. The state of Utah now has a regulation that was signed by the governor at the encouragement of the ex-husband of Ruby Franke, a mother of 6 who dispensed parenting advice to millions on YouTube before her arrest in 2023. Governor Spencer Cox signed a law that gives adults a path to scrub from all platforms the digital content they were featured in as minors and requires parents to set aside money for kids featured in content.
I like that.
I like that too.
I mean, I think a lot of us look at sort of like family vlogging, things like that, and we worry about the kids, right? Like, what effect is this going to have on the kids? A lot of the kids, at times, like, they don't really want to do it. They're not interested, but it's family income, so there's a lot of pressure to participate and to make it a success. And that can be really tricky, even when it goes well, even when your parents aren't being sentenced for child abuse.
No, yeah. And she's one of the older kids, the oldest kid, I believe, wrote a memoir in which she said that basically her mom was treating them like employees and they were constantly chasing content gold and views.
Filling out timesheets.
Yeah. And other states have enacted laws as well. Illinois, California, and Minnesota have enacted laws protecting the earnings of young creators. And Minnesota's law includes a similar provision to Utah's that allows content featuring minors to be taken down.
That is one thing I like is that when you, I mean, it sucks. I wish you could do it as a minor, but everyone is under control of their parents as a minor. But it is nice that at least when you come of, legal adult age, that you can have that stuff scrubbed. That's good.
Do you know who Jackie Coogan is? When I say that name, does that ring a bell at all?
No.
Jackie Coogan, you would probably best know him as he played Uncle Fester.
Oh, yeah, okay. The movies.
No, on the Addams Family TV show.
Oh,
the movie, I think Christopher Lloyd played Uncle Fester
right,
in the movies. Yeah,
you're right.
No, he was Uncle Fester on the TV show that then they made the movies from as well. Now have made spinoff after spinoff. They got acquired by Best Buy at some point, and then they made Wednesday or something.
Wednesday
like that.
season 2 coming up sometime.
But he was a wildly successful child star in the era of silent films, and there's all sorts of laws that are around protecting money for kids. Let me look from his Wikipedia entry. This is all adjusted for inflation. As a child star, Coogan earned an estimated $70 to $95 million adjusted for inflation.
Not bad, kid.
When he turned 21 in October of 1935, his fortune was believed to be well intact. Coogan soon discovered, though, that nearly the entire amount had been squandered by his mother and his stepfather, Arthur Bernstein, on fur coats, diamonds, and other jewelry. That seems like a 1920s expense. And expensive cars. Bernstein, the stepfather, had been a financial advisor to the family and married Coogan's mother in late 1936. Coogan's mother and stepfather claimed Jackie enjoyed himself and simply thought he was playing before the camera. She insisted no promises were ever made to Jackie about anything and claimed, quote, he was a bad boy.
Wow.
He eventually sued him and he received just $126,000.
Man, I could swear the stepfather was named Berenstain.
Yeah, but he was with Charlie Chaplin. There's a Charlie Chaplin movie called The Kid. He was the kid.
Oh, okay.
And
so he was like that's an enormous fortune to spend on I don't know, jewelry and fur coats and stuff.
People just adjust, man.
It is something you hear a lot about with child actors is parents spending all the money, right? So it is nice that the laws they're enacting to try to protect the kids in these scenarios, like having to put aside money for the kids. Basically, they need to benefit as well. Scrub protections when they come to adulthood, that kind of thing. That's good.
Yeah. And the legal battle focused attention on child actors and resulted in the 1939 enactment of the California Child Actors Bill, often referred to as Coogan's Law. It required that a child actor's employer set aside 15% of the earnings in a trust.
Oh, come on.
I mean, it's they have to do something, right? If you look at the amount of money that he actually ended up making, he made less than 15% that he got back from his mother and his stepfather, but not much less.
Look, I'm just saying the least the kid can take is an App Store cut. We're talking 30%.
Yeah, exactly. Give him as much as the apps get, for fucking Christ's sake. But I think that in general, I think that there needs to be more regulation around social media. I never turn my nose up when things like that happen. Like, how many times did I mention when I had that Microsoft laptop? I even said I had to, every time someone mentions this laptop, I have to mention that Microsoft provided me this laptop. Eventually, I stopped using the laptop because it became a big hassle to constantly mention that. And the hashtag ad stuff, that's required by law, by the FTC, that we have to do that stuff.
It is. And so, and those crackdowns, I think they can be really annoying. And it sucks that a lot of times online creators are targeted more closely than other forms of media because because it's easy, because in the same way as other online content, you can look at the clicks, you can look at the views, and it's all right there, and it's very granular instead of just sort of overall circulation. In the same way that product placement, you don't have to call out every specific product that's paid for placement in something, as long as you have the little disclaimer in the corner for the first 5 seconds of the TV show or whatever saying contains product placement. That's all you got to do.
Or
right?
at the end, promotional consideration by.
Yes, exactly.
TiVo.
So you get, I know that online does tend to have, in a lot of ways, more strict regulations in some ways. But there are other departments like this, like the use of, minors in your content that need more. They need to come up to speed.
Well, there was a big kerfuffle just recently on X where apparently Trump was going to issue one of these executive orders or something where they were going to ban the purchase of sugary sodas with benefits, with like food stamps, essentially. And then a bunch of people who are normally, you would think, very against food stamps and that kind of thing and against public assistance, they were saying, you shouldn't do this. Why are we banning sugary sodas? They're just part of American culture, like all this stuff I'm paraphrasing here. Why are we singling out certain kinds of food? They're perfectly fine. Came out, somebody compiled all these together. Everyone was being paid $1,000 a post. It was like just a bounty with templates, and they were all posting the same templates about defending sugary sodas and the purchase of sugary sodas with EBT.
Oh, that reminds me of, this was a while back, but I'll see if I can find it. The compilation of it was like a bunch of like local news affiliates that were all reading the exact same script about some event, like some coverage, but you could see they would cut between all these different local like news affiliates, and they were all doing the exact same thing. They were all reading the same script.
It might shock you to learn that the people who were making these sugary posts, by and large, were the people who would be normally criticizing the media for exactly that kind of thing.
I see.
And so that was the call. And they got busted, and some were like, yep, my bad. I did that. I took the money. I didn't. Yeah, my bad. I won't do it again. Sorry.
Yeah.
People were like, fuck you.
Oops.
I think of all the gotchas, hypocrisy is probably the most delicious, I would think, to people. When you see hypocrisy and you can identify it, it just feels so egregious.
Well, and it's tough though, because I'd be hard pressed to find, to say like, I'm not a hypocrite about something. I'm sure that I am. I'm not sure what it is, but I'm sure that I'm a hypocrite about something.
Oh, it also stings when you get embroiled in it though, too. Like when you believe one thing and then it turns out, oh shit, fuck this thing up. And it's completely against what I normally believe in. And then you got to say the stupid shit like, this is not who I am and stuff like that. You can genuinely mean it. And it sounds like utter horse shit, you know?
Oh, God. Someone bring me a dog. I have an apology video to make.
Yeah, I'll get your music going here. Apology video. There you go.
All right. Thank you. Look, I just, I'm so sorry. This isn't who I am. And I want to be a better person. And I'm trying to be a better person. I will pay my children at least 30%.
I really believe that sugary sodas were good for you and that everyone should have them at every meal. It'd be great. While we're talking about meals, though, there's a story that came out which scares the shit out of me because sometimes you hear about stuff and you're like, this is the way everyone else lives. So there's a study that just came out. I'll just read you this and see if it applies to you. If you're the kind of person who can regularly polish off a breakfast, lunch, or dinner in less than 20 to 30 minutes, you're eating too fast. Who the fuck is taking 30 minutes to eat an entire meal?
I mean,
that's the eating part.
Raising my hand right here.
It takes you also 30 minutes to eat food?
To be fair, I'm also feeding two other people at the same time and being like, just sit down, stay in your chair and eat your waffle. It's a waffle. You're supposed to like waffles.
I could eat a pizza in 10 minutes. If I took 30 minutes to eat a pizza, it means I ate 3 pizzas. That's what that means.
You think it takes you 10 whole minutes to eat a pizza?
No, I don't. I really genuinely don't. I was just making the mathematics easier on myself by saying it that way. I can't imagine taking 30 minutes to eat anything.
So what you're saying is like all that time that you generally spend staring at me going, how are you this slow eating?
How are you this slow eating?
Is that really you should be that slow?
Apparently you're supposed to take 20, let's do the math on this. The government says we're supposed to have 3 meals a day, right? That's what they tell us. If I'm spending 30 minutes per meal, you're telling me I'm supposed to spend an hour and a half out of the 18 hours that I'm awake. I'm supposed to spend an hour and a half of that eating.
It doesn't say an hour and a half, but maybe you should be taking at least 30 minutes. Right? Okay.
For 3 meals.
I've got.
I'm just following the FDA's regulations here. I'm supposed to eat 3 meals a day, and I'm supposed to spend 30 minutes on each one. the fuck out of here.
Well, okay, so this is from an article on AP News. It takes about 20 minutes for the stomach to communicate to the brain via a whole host of hormonal signals that it's full, says Leslie Heimberg at the Center for Behavioral Health at the Cleveland Clinic. So when people eat rapidly, they can miss these signals, and it's very easy to eat beyond the point of fullness.
I could give my stomach a day and a half. It would not communicate that to me, right? My stomach has never communicated to my brain that it's full. That's never happened. Like, there was an undersea cable that's supposed to communicate that, and the Russians cut that in like 1987. That's gone. That communication pathway has broken down. 30 minutes. Get the fuck out of here.
Never been repaired.
You're telling me if I go to Subway,
we sold that.
I'm supposed to sit in Subway for 30 minutes eating a sub? Nobody's doing that. Nobody is doing that.
You know how you get around that, though?
Got time for this.
Is you what you have to do is you just you have to sell it off, right? You sold the signal off. You don't have to deal with it anymore, and just get fast food. If you get something called fast food, that means that it gets to your stomach faster, right?
Right. You're telling me people are sitting there with a McDonald's cheeseburger. How many bites are in a McDonald's cheeseburger? 15?
Go ahead, out yourself here.
How honestly, I'm thinking when you hold a cheeseburger, this is something we should actually document. How many bites
to get to the center of a cheeseburger?
You're telling me I'm taking a bite of my cheeseburger? If there's 15 bites in a cheeseburger, I'm taking a bite every 2 minutes. This is a lie. Nobody lives like this.
You know, you say that, but you got fries on the side. Just like space it all out. Take a couple sips of your sugary drink. Okay, it's part of American culture.
Listen, the way I eat it, I put the whole thing in my mouth and I ram it down with the backside of a plunger, like a stick. That's how I get it down my throat. If I could eat any faster, I would.
You know how you see people, like you'll see the really impressive videos of like a girl just like walking up to a beer and just like pour the whole thing back and it just like goes down.
Right.
You do that. You open your throat, but it's for burgers.
Oh, yeah, chicken nuggets. I can do that. 20-pack of chicken nuggets. Just open your throat and down it goes.
Don't even chew.
30 minutes.
Chewing just slows you down.
Seriously, though, if I eat 30 minutes, my calorie intake is going up by like 5x because I have to sit there. There's no way. And the advice they give you, by the way, is here's how to eat slower. Turn off the TV and put away your phone.
I feel like that would do the opposite.
I agree with you.
I feel like that would completely do the opposite because then you have nothing to focus on except the food and shoveling it in. I feel like if you can at least distract yourself, so here's what you do. You take your burger, you take a bite of your burger, you watch like 5 Instagram reels, you take the next bite of your burger, watch another 5 reels, right? Space that shit out.
You know what we all need, Ashley?
Go ahead.
To eat at the appropriate pace, we need our culinary pace car, who is that guy's girlfriend, where he tried to eat as slow as she eats at a meal. One of my favorite all-time online videos. He is, because he's secretly recording them, and he says, I'm just going to eat as slow as my girlfriend eats. And he's so incredibly frustrated.
Right, because he's just got the burger or whatever in his hands. I will say that's not a fair video. If you look at that video, she is doing the thing. She's practicing the technique that we just discussed. She's actually watching something. She's not eating to eat. She's got the food, but she's watching something, and the food is company.
No, you're incorrect. You could put that same phone in front of me with the same reels. That's not going to slow me down from eating the chicken sandwich.
Yeah, but Bernie, you're a special case. You eat.
I'm not.
You are. You eat food and you don't even know it.
No,
you walk by and like if there's anything on the table, you eat that thing, and then you're like, I ate. What? Where was that? And I'm like, you ate the thing. You didn't even realize you ate the thing.
There is one person in this world who qualifies for this study.
Is it my mom?
It is your mother. She can eat this slow. She's the only person I've ever met who can eat that slow.
Now, here's what's weird about that, Bernie, is this is all presented, like I'm looking at this article on AP News. It's from March 24th, 2025. My mom has known this for decades. She's always called this out, like that it takes 20 minutes for your stomach to tell your brain that you're full. She's said that like since I was a kid. So this is not news, all right? This is something that we've known about. Why is it being presented as like this crazy new finding?
Like I said, my stomach doesn't do that.
Or is it just, is this here to educate a new generation?
My stomach doesn't tell me. My stomach posts about it on Signal, and then I have to read about it in the Atlantic. That's how mine works. for $1,000 a pop. All right, Ashley, who do we have to thank for slowing us down while we eat today?
All right, I would like to say thank you to today's nice slow eaters, Benoit Lavoie-Lemaire and Blah. Thank you both so much.
Did you handpick those?
No, I did not.
Benoit Lavoie-Lemaire, is that what you said?
Yes, and Blah.
And Blah.
Yes.
Well, congratulations to both
We
of you.
got we got both ends of the spectrum
Completely.
for names. So thank you both so much for sponsoring this episode of our show at patreon.com/morningsomewhere.
That is you eating a cheeseburger and then me eating a cheeseburger. Those two names. Perfect allegory. All right, well, that does it for us today. March 26, 2025. We will be back to talk tomorrow. We hope you will be here as well.
Bye, everybody.